Happy Monday. Welcome to TT's Clubhouse. Today on episode 15, I believe, we have a wonderful guest, someone who I had the pleasure to work alongside with during last season. Please join me in welcoming Homer Bush Jr.
Yes, what's up, y'all? It's Home Rich Jr. outfit with Padres.
Let's go. Damn, man, looking good. You got the headphones. I saw those
Yeah,
online. Okay.
yeah. No, this is actually like one of my first big purchases since I got drafted. If you saw my Instagram posts, I kind of described an unfortunate situation I had happen with them, but it's cool.
Hold on, slow down, bro. Okay. So you went through a whole lot of things right
Yeah,
there. So,
a lot.
well, it's cool though because I want to know all those things
Right.
regarding your first big purchase. You said,
Yes, this would be probably my first big purchase, yes.
how did that feel?
So, funny enough, I actually got a pair of these for Christmas. My parents got them for me for Christmas. And I went out to throw one day, and I was changing shoes in the back of my car, and I put them on top of my car, and forgot that I put them on top of my car. Went to the driver's seat, drove off, and they fell off in the middle of the road and got ran over. And I didn't realize until I got back home. And so I went and I have a picture on my Instagram of me picking them up like off the side of the road, and they were like broken, like snapped in half, everything. And so I ended up having to go to Apple and buy a new pair. So my first like big boy purchase was something I already had owned previously.
So you had to go buy something that you were gifted.
Yes, because I broke it. Yeah.
What was going on? Because that's happened to me before too. To be honest, like
Right.
I know what happened to me. What was going on with you? You were rushing? What happened?
I just like completely just like lost track. Like so the pair of shoes I was switching into was in the middle row of my car. And the pair of shoes I was switching out of, I was switching out of in like the like trunk of my car. And so when I went to the middle row, like I just like blanked, forgot, and then had that kind of happen. So it was unfortunate. I had to text my mom and be like, "Yo, do you have insurance?" And I don't even know why I texted because I don't think insurance will even cover something that stupid. But yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like in the moment, like it was annoying, but now it's like kind of funny to look back on.
Bro, it happens. I mean, I can't say that something worse that's not happened to me, but it happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Last year, I got a chance to meet you. You were drafted last season, right? What year is your draft pick? What round you go? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I went in the fourth round last July, which was a trip. I talk about it all the time. That whole like draft like experience, like it was cool and like what came out of it was like awesome and like I'm obviously very appreciative of it, but like it was some of the most stressful days of my whole entire life. Um, like I genuinely don't think that like I would go through the process again if I had to. Like it was so much like I had no clue what was going on when I was going to get drafted. I was a guy who kind of came on the scene like a little late. So my stock was kind of up in the air. I was like, dude, I could be a second rounder, I could be a 10th rounder. Like I have no clue. So to kind of be like that, like out of the process, made it kind of tough to deal with. But I ended up going to a place in the team that I really badly wanted to go to. So I'm happy with how things kind of settled down.
All right. Well, you mentioned something. The word stress was like a trigger word for me, right?
Mhm.
Stress, and
Yeah.
I'm sure like something like that. Although you wouldn't want to go back and relive that stress, I'm sure there's more to that. Take me through like that journey when you're preparing yourself. Trying to get your mind off of the drafts. Um,
Mhm.
take us through that.
It was a lot. It's funny because like the day one of the draft and then day two of the draft, like I'm a big like coffee, tea, like I've been like a Starbucks Dunkin' guy. And I was like, dude, I can't drink coffee for like these 2 days because like I'm already geeking out and like I'm just gonna be geeking out squared if I'm out here knocking back 300 milligrams of caffeine. So like I was like, dude, I'm going no coffee for these couple days. And like it was honestly, as the draft came up, it felt like I wasn't even in it. Like I watched the draft the past couple years, and for it to be like my draft class and like the time that I could potentially get drafted, like I remember watching the draft on day one and being like, dude, this doesn't even feel real. Um, And so after like day one went by, that was like a really interesting feeling because I wasn't like technically supposed to go in the first round based off where I was ranked in a lot of places and stuff like that, but I thought there was still a chance.
Uh-huh.
And so for it to like not happen, like I was kind of like, wow, like this is like a really, really interesting feeling. I was posting on my private story on Snapchat about like the whole process and like going through the draft and like these teams that like had interest in me and like not picking me and skipping out on me and this and that. And so it honestly, it was hard to kind of get my mind off of things. Like I really just had to have time pass. Like I just had to kind of deal with a lot of the anxiety and stuff like that. So those, like I said, it was a long couple days, but it was good.
With that feeling of that anxiety, is there anything that is that feeling ever come back as far as like to this day? Not being the draft, obviously, but like whether it be preparing for a game or dealing with girlfriend issues or whatever, maybe does that feeling ever
Right.
come back?
Thankfully, not to that level. I think anytime, especially like being an athlete, like before any games or before any competition, like you're gonna feel that little bit of like anxiousness. So before every game, like I get nervous. Like I can be like absolutely in fuego. Like it doesn't matter. I can be hitting 400. Like I'm gonna get nervous. That's just like the nature of like playing sports. Um, but thankfully enough, like I haven't had anything come to that level. Even before the draft, just like my whole junior season in general, uh, it was like the same way. Like that was one of the most like anxiety-inducing seasons I've ever played. And one of the coolest things, I went to the combine before the draft, and one of the coolest things about the combine to me was like I got the opportunity to talk to like a bunch of different other athletes who were like in a similar position as me and like dealing with like the draft season and all the hype and noise that came around it, and to like talk to them and like hear how stressful it was for them too. I was like, oh, like I'm not alone. Like I thought I was the only person who was anxious about having to play my junior season with the pressure of potentially getting drafted. So to have those conversations with other guys, like it was kind of cool.
I bet, man. I mean, the relatability aspect alone, I'm sure, makes you feel a little bit better, and able to like immerse yourself into a new group of people that you can look up to in a sense as
Right.
mentorship, is needed. Um, have you been able to go back into like your GCU campus and your teammates to kind of offer them some wisdom and whatnot based on your experiences?
Yeah, I have. It's been cool. I actually worked out at GCU a lot this off season, um, especially during the dead period because that was like the best spot for me to train. I'm in North Scottsdale, so it's like 30 minutes away from me. So I've been able to go back there and be around the team during their practices and lifts and stuff like that, which has been really cool. Which there's some guys my age where it like feels kind of weird, like being around them and giving them tips and tricks and stuff like that. But to be around a lot of the freshmen and everything and have them kind of like almost look up to you a little bit because they want to be in your position one day has been pretty cool. Because like I've always talked about how like I've wanted to leave really anywhere I go better than it was when I got there. So like for GCU specifically to like be able to go back and like pass down some of this knowledge after just 1 year being in pro ball has been pretty cool.
That sounds cool. I mean, that's something I love hearing, especially with serve first being our mentality, and you serving in your own way, using sports and your experiences to pass on that knowledge to some fellow teammates or potentially some future teammates one day. You never know. Um, was there any like GCU athletes that took you under the wing at some point in their careers that you always have a special place in the heart?
Yeah, there's a group of guys. I mentioned them in an article before I got drafted, actually. It's Dane Stankiewicz, Johnny Weaver, and Braden Merritt. There were three seniors on the team when I was a freshman. And our weights coach actually split us into he split us into like groups of like 4 or 5, and like we had to do like all our lifts and stretching and everything like that together to just kind of build some community type of deal. And so those were like the three guys that I were assigned to. And so they like really helped me as I was kind of growing up, especially my freshman year. Like I didn't play until my freshman year. I only got 4 or 5 at bats. So to like kind of have them there to like guide me through the process and help me out and like help me keep my head straight as I was not getting an opportunity to play, and like them kind of letting me know like, dude, like you're gonna be really, really good. Like just stick with it was super big. So those guys are like super big for me in my development and time at GCU, and I talk to them a lot all the time even now. So
Dance tight. I mean, I couldn't imagine playing at that level And coming from, I'm sure, high school, you probably were the guy, right? In high school, were you dominating? Like,
It's funny enough, like I wasn't at all in high school. Actually, I was just talking to Dylan Ed about this the other day. I pulled up my max prep stats in high school, and like they were terrible. And he was like, "What the heck?" I was talking to him and Castillon, and they're like, "Dude, how'd you even like get recruited?" So uh, high school and my freshman year of college were actually like really big for like my career and like my development as a human. And I didn't play like a ton during those years, and like I wasn't great during some of those years, but I think some of those years kind of shaped me to like where I am now.
well, you said shape and developed, and that's big in life as far as work life experience. Um, Take us through that as far as like for the kids listening and like those types of moments that you were like growing, I guess, and run us through like the things that you did as far as the practices in place and the mentality you had to have.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing is like it's got to be intrinsic. Like it's really got to come for yourself, from yourself, and that's one of the things that like I kind of struggled with earlier on in my life. Like my parents really tried to like pull some of my work ethic out of me. I remember I talk about it all the time. I had a batting cage in my house when I was younger, and I like never used it. And now that like I'm at the age that I am right now, like I would kill to have that batting cage. And I feel like a lot of times like that just kind of comes with just like growth, and how I said I didn't play a ton in high school and I didn't play a ton my freshman year. Like those experiences are what led to me like kind of getting the work ethic and stuff that I have right now. So I think it's important to like kind of develop that work ethic, but like it's got to happen like naturally, and it's got to happen over time. Like if you need other people to like push you in order to like work hard or like do stuff, like it's not gonna go anywhere. Like it might work for a little bit, but like when we're talking about over the course of like a full career and like your life, like it's got to really come from like inside of yourself.
Right, I believe in that too. Like it's got to be you, bro. You can't just depend
It
on others
does.
to keep motivating you. I mean, I was talking to my buddy Gr earlier today. He's my a good friend of mine that runs a nonprofit called Operation Sick Care, and it helps veterans through sports. And he was running it by me as far as saying, bro, it's on you. You have to show up and put in the work and actually do the work if you want to see some results. And I was like, damn, I want to hear that.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, is that like it can be kind of tough to hear sometimes, but like I mean, it really is like you're kind of in control of everything, and just like really in general, like when it comes to being like a good human being, like it's got to be genuine. Like it really has to be you. Like you can only fake stuff for so long.
Well, speaking of genuine, one thing that I was like geeking out about when I like was observing you was your individuality, you being a little bit different, and and I always tell my daughters like, "Oh, but we built different, we built different." And when I see you, I'm like, "He's built different." It's, whether it be your swag or the fact that you put your clothes you wear.
Right,
But for me, it was your nail polish that I saw.
right, yeah, yeah. It dude, it's funny. Like when I say genuine, like I don't do anything that I do because like I'm looking for like other people's approval, or like I do it because like I want to do it, and like I think it's cool, and like I like what I do. So like all this stuff that like I do that's like makes me an individual, like is seriously just because like nothing could like throw me off of my track of doing like what I do and how like I kind of approach life and everything like that. So
What? Well, how when that was that always like was that always you? I mean,
no, it's funny. I think as I kind of got into college, and I don't know if this is really the right way to approach stuff, but like as I started to kind of have like some more success and like kind of find myself in that aspect, like it kind of gave me more confidence to kind of approach life like the way that I want to. There's like a lot of stuff that like I wanted to do like maybe when I was younger, but like I didn't have the confidence to do it, or like I was scared of like what other people were gonna say about me. But then like I got to a point, like the first time I ever got my nails done was actually on the draft weekend, because I was like, dude, I'm about to get drafted. Like, I don't care what anybody has to say about me. Like, if anybody wants to like say something or make fun of me, like I just got drafted.
yeah.
So like nothing's gonna like pull me down. So I think just kind of as I've become more successful, it's kind of helped me come out of my shell a little bit in that front.
I love that for you. I love that. I can hear that because even though I'm older than you and whatnot, like that's something that I want to kind of pour into my body so I can share with others.
Right.
How would you, I mean, as a pro athlete, convey that message to maybe someone who is entering little league that is, trying to separate the peer pressures and maybe, the being the cool crowd,
hmm
to find that inner confidence? What would you say to them?
I think the biggest thing is security, and like security like within yourself and who you are as a person. Like as I've gotten older, like with the successes and stuff like that, like I feel like I've really started to kind of understand like who I am and like my values and like what I represent. And like I'm so secure in that, and like I'm so like understanding of the fact that like I have like I like to think I have like some pretty good like I approach life in like a really good way. That security kind of makes me free to like do what I want to do. I talk about it. We actually have a book club with this camp, and I've said how like nowadays like other people's opinions are more accessible than like ever, and it's really easy to kind of let other people's opinions like sway like what you do and like how you approach life. But when you have that kind of security like within yourself, then it kind of allows you to like block out a lot of those opinions. So
Got you. My boy's in a book club, bro. He's in a book club.
but yeah, when a book club is funny, it's me, Jackson Merrill, Robert Perez, Kai Murphy, so some of your guys, and then Marcy and Polly were in it too, but they dipped out of the camp a couple days early. So, but the book we're reading is like it's all right. I think like it was written by Michael Jordan and like Kobe Bryant's like trainers, and like there's a whole lot of like buzzwords and stuff like that. Like if you like Google motivational quotes and then like just copy and paste them like in a random order for like 300 pages, that's like what the book kind of feels like at times. But there's like some good stuff that like we've been able to get out of it, and a lot of the guys in the group are like pretty mature, so like we've actually had some like we go into the book club and we're like, oh, we gotta do this again, and then like 30 minutes later we're like, wow, we just had some really like insightful conversation.
For
So it's
sure.
actually been pretty cool.
I love that, man. That's how it starts, man. Mindset training.
Right.
So that book club that you guys are doing, you need some pretty cool people that I have the
Yes.
honor to cross paths with.
Yeah.
What other things outside of the field are you finding yourself gravitating towards to give you that, that growth?
So one of the things that like I've mentioned is like just kind of like the arts in general, like specifically kind of like music and like cinema and stuff like that, especially me being like an athlete. And like I genuinely have no artistic side like at all. Like I can't draw, I can't act. I hope I don't have to act in like commercials or anything because like I don't think I'd be able to do it. Like if I have to do something like that, like it would have to be like reality, like something that's like live and like actually me. It's hard for me to like act. I can't sing or anything like that. So like for me to like watch other people do stuff like that at a high level, I think is like really cool. So I went like a lot of my life without watching movies, and I've like started to kind of get back into them slowly, which has been cool. I have like a letterboxed. I don't know if you know how letterboxed works, but you can like kind of track your movies and stuff like that. So I've gotten into that, and like I said, just like continue to like listen to music and grow in that way, which I think is important, especially like I said, as being an athlete. Like whenever I leave the field, I want to like completely separate myself. Like I don't want to be thinking about baseball whenever I'm at home or whenever I have an off day. Like we commit so much of our time to the game that like committing more time on top of like the grind that you're already going through like makes it really really tough on you mentally. So for me, like just finding an escape in that way has been kind of big for me.
The grind. That's a trigger word as well. The grind and
Yeah.
escape. Um, Not many people understand. Like, well, minor league baseball, we have. You know how many games we play a year
Yeah, it's like 140 something
and how many days?
and like 150 something, 160 something maybe.
Yeah, we had 1 day a week, which is Monday off.
Yeah.
Um, and then I know you played in Double A last year, ended in Double A, right?
Yes.
So some of those days are travel days, so it's not
Right.
really an off day.
Long travel days in Texas.
So with that being said, like let's go through that. Like, what's that process for you as far as the grind, the disconnect? What are you really doing? What are you working on to give yourself that complete break that you need.
Right. Like I said, it really starts with like every day, like before you walk into the locker room, and then when you leave the locker room, like I said, it has to be like completely separate. Like I don't want to be thinking about anything until I walk into the locker room, and then it's like, all right, like if we play at 7, I'm getting there at 2:30. Like when I walk into those doors at 2:30, like it's time to lock in. And then I go through my day, and then go through the game, and say the game finishes at 10:30, whatever. But like when I leave the locker room at 10:30, like I'm out of locked in mode. Like I'm in normal Homer Bliss Jr. mode at that point. Because I think that's super important. Because like I said, whenever you're carrying whatever you're doing on the field, like good or bad, off the field, like that's when stuff starts to get tough and really squirrely mentally. And I mentioned like good or bad specifically because I feel like when you take like a lot of the good you do on the field off the field, it makes it like to where you have to bring the bad with you as well. So it's like not one of those things where you can pick and choose. It's like you have to be completely disconnected, like when you're on the field and off the field. So that's one of the things that's like super big for me. And then I think just like kind of creating the relationships with like a lot of your teammates, I think helps a lot. I know that when I got moved up to AA, it was like pretty nerve-wracking for me. Like I just got drafted in July and I'm in AA. Like my teammates are 27, 28, like
Yeah.
older guys and stuff like that. But I think just kind of creating those relationships and stuff like that is super important. And I know for me, like it helped me get a lot more comfortable, like as I started to create relationships with those guys. And even like some of the traveling stuff, like does it naturally. Like when you're on a bus for 10 hours, like you're going to have to learn how to become friends with some of these guys, you know? So I think that's super important as well.
Love that. I know. I remember that day. We were on the road, I believe, in IE,
We're in IE, yeah.
and then all of a sudden, like I think like 7 of you guys went up at the same time,
Yeah, there's a ton
but
of
you
us,
guys were
yeah.
going in different directions. And
Mhm.
you see who else? CD CD went up to AA as
It
well.
was myself and CD went up to AA.
Shout out CD.
Shout out CD, bro. Shout out CD. That's my boy. He helped me a ton. Like he was super instrumental as I kind of went through that process. Like he was huge. So shout out to him
How
for that.
cool? Yeah, how cool is that, man? Like he played in the bigs, and
Yeah.
he's someone I'm sure that can offer a lot of insight and wisdom. Let's talk about that. I know when we've had our little brief conversations in IELE, I said, "Hey, what was it like when you met LeBron James?" Right?
Mhm.
Um, let's go through that, like meeting your first pro athlete, the impact it had on your life, or if it didn't, and what it's like to be around the older guys around you and whatnot.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like specifically meeting a professional athlete, especially one like LeBron James, that's like the greatest ever. I think it's
Preach.
really cool because like a lot of times when a lot of these times when you like see these guys on TV and everything like that, like they don't feel like actual human beings. Like you're like, these aren't real people. Like this is fake. So like to get the opportunity to like see them in person is like, oh, these are like actual people. Like this is real. This is real life. So to like get the opportunity to like be that close to them, like being an athlete myself, like makes a lot of my kind of like aspirations seem like possible because like I said, whenever you're watching these guys on TV, like they legitimately seem bigger than life. So just kind of having that understanding that like they're a Homo sapien just like me is like really cool. And then I think specifically talking about like when I got called up to AA and kind of getting to talk with and get some experience from some of the older guys was huge, especially with baseball and minor league baseball. Like so much of it is like not even like actual like skill set and like tips and tricks from like a how do I hit standpoint. It's like a how do I like make it through a 150 game season? How do I do this and that? Like when I'm checking into my hotels and apartments and this and that, like the fact that like I had some of these older guys here to like help me with a ton of that stuff was like huge because I would have been lost in the sauce if I was alone. So
Tight, and your network is your net worth, right?
yes, 100%.
I had the honor to serve not just yourself, but your father, man, your dad, senior.
Yes, yep,
Shout out to
yep.
homie Bush Senior.
Yeah, he's probably somewhere out there in the living room or something, kicking his
Oh,
feet
you
up.
stay
Who
at home
knows?
still? You stay at home with the fam?
I'm at home in off season right now. Yeah,
Blessed,
yeah,
mad blessed.
money set up. It's great. It's great.
Um, you know, that is something obviously that we have to look out for as far as like a privilege in the sense, to be in the same category as your dad as a professional baseball player. Your dad obviously playing in the big leagues. I think I was a bat boy for your dad, bro. I really do. Actually, I was, and
Yeah,
it's so cool and surreal in a sense because here you are, his son, following your own footsteps, but yet creating your own legacy. How take us through that, man? Like share a little bit about that, please.
yeah. No, it's been really cool. I mean, just to like go through life growing up, like I feel like you have some of these pressures, like being a junior of a dad who played professionally to like kind of be successful. And so to like be at like the point where I am right now to where like some of it's actually come to fruition has been super cool. And he's obviously been super instrumental to like getting me to this point. And just the fact that like we've taken like a similar path, like the fact that we both got drafted by the same team is just like stupid. Like I think that's just like the craziest thing ever. Um, which I think is just absolutely awesome. So everything he's done for me has been great, and I definitely wouldn't be here without him. With a lot of the knowledge and stuff that he's been able to pass down to me.
Facts.
Yeah,
Facts.
yeah, nah, it's crazy.
um in my time in Lake Elsinore with you, I've been I don't know, I want to say amazed. I've been impressed, bro. I've been impressed with your professionalism off the field, your willingness to share what you know, your insight, especially taking time for your fans, man. That's something to me that just catches my attention because, life is life and we have our own things to do. And, sometimes it gets away from us. But that's one thing I've seen you take ownership of and pride of as well. And how instrumental is that for you? And what's that going to look like for your future?
Yeah, it's super important to me. It's interesting because like I'm wondering like how the balance is going to be like the higher I get up because like I'll legitimately sit outside and sign autographs for like hours on end. Like I feel like I have an obligation to get to like every single person if I can. Like that's super important to me. Which is a little bit easier in Elsinore and San Antonio because we didn't have 40,000 people there. But that's something that like I really want to like continue like throughout my career. I mean, just for me, it's kind of like one of those empathy things where it's like these people are giving me the opportunity to like do what I enjoy, and so like I feel like it's important for me to like give back to them, and then just like show to them like how I talked about with LeBron James, like hey, like I'm a regular person, like yeah, I can do some cool things with the stick in my hand, but like at the end of the day, like I'm a regular person, and like when I'm signing these autographs and talking to fans, like I'm gonna talk to you the same way that I would talk to any other person that I would talk to. And one of the things that I take like a lot of pride in is my signature, which like I get asked about like a decent amount, especially since like some of the top stuff has come out, and it's one of those things where it's like I used to sign. Actually, I have a paper right here. I just like randomly sitting down before we started talking, like I just signed on the top of my paper. Like I've been signing my autographs in like my notebook since like second grade, just because I'm like, dude, that'd be so cool to like have a sick autograph and like have people want it. And so for me to be in a position in life where like people want my autograph, like I'm gonna make sure that I do my autograph to the best of my ability. Like I think that's really cool. So a lot of the fans and a lot of the people um, are just as instrumental to my success as my parents or the coaching staff or a ton of other people that are kind of in my circle.
Love that, man. Love that. You take pride in that. You take the time and effort to make your craft, the way it needs to be for yourself. And love hearing that, man, because you don't get a chance to hear that too often. And you sharing that, I hope some people get a chance to be inspired by it and maybe perfect their own craft because, we're all rock stars in our own story. Everyone has their own story they want to tell and be a part of their own path. We're lucky to be on this earth to serve in our own way, man. So I know we got some time here. I know in the back, Nolan is gonna hopefully have some questions for homie. I know I have tons of people texting me, hey homie, can you make sure he can sign this or get that. So I'll be sending you I'll be out in Arizona paying a visit to you guys.
Okay.
And I'll make sure to touch base with you. Drop off your surfer's hoodie for you.
Yeah, sure.
But now it's time for some viewer questions. So questions with homie. So
Yes.
let's see what we got. All right, from Bennett. What is your favorite memory from Double A?
Um, oh gosh, I'd probably just say the playoffs in general. The first game that I had was like stupid electric. The game we played in Amarillo. I got my first double A home run out of the way, which was pretty cool. And then I talked about like with the bus rides and stuff like that. Like we took a 10-hour bus ride to Amarillo. Then we got in probably like 4 or 5 a.m. We got the next day off, and then we played Amarillo, which would end up being like a 13 inning game. And then we left at like 11 p.m. after and got back at like 8, 9 a.m. To San Antonio. And so that experience was like my first, like, because in the Cal League, like, you're not going more than 2 hours. At least when I got there, I think the furthest I went was like 45 minutes. So, like, that was my first, like, experience of, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm on this bus for 10 hours. Like, this is a lot. But it ended up being really cool. And like I said, that was probably like the moment that started to kind of help me get comfortable with like a lot of my teammates and stuff like that. So,
Memories, man.
yeah, no, that was dope.
How many home runs did you finish with this year?
I finished with, if you include that playoff home run, I finished with 4, which is impressive because I hit 4 my whole entire college career from my freshman year, summer, sophomore year, summer, junior year. I hit 4. So for me to equal that amount in my first, quarter of the season of pro ball was pretty impressive, I thought.
Something's working, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see if we have any more questions. Yep, there we go. Buzzing for this one. Guy can ball and just a great guy with the kills. Oh man.
That's just some love. Not even a question to answer, just a little bit of love, which I appreciate. See, that's like what I'm talking about, like when it comes to like the fans, like that's like dope to see, and like it definitely helps you like push a little harder and like helps you like stay locked in and kind of like puts things in perspective. I was talking about at the book club once again. Like, dude, there are games where like I'll go 0 for 4 with 3 punchies, and like I'll have a kid come up to me and be like, Homer, Homer, like sign my ball. And it kind of like makes you sit back and realize like, oh, like this little kid doesn't care that I just put up a hat trick. So like to kind of like understand that and understand that like it's a little deeper than just like what your OPS is and like the statistics makes it easier to perform for me at least.
Bro, you're blessed, man, to be able to impact people's lives through a sport. Through a sport, man. We're
Yeah,
balling, helping people out in their own ways, in this entertainment field. And like you said before, without the fans, I wouldn't have a job. You wouldn't have
right,
a job. And now
right,
we're here
exactly.
coming together to do it. So super
Yeah,
fortunate to be able to impact others through the game.
yes.
All
You
right,
got a
Nikki.
wrong one.
I had no clue about your dad or you. I was Facebook friends with your mom. Then she said you were getting drafted. I was like, what? This little kid used to talk about? And then I started following you. Shout out, Nikki.
Yes, dude, it's funny, like a lot of like people that like I've been able to meet and like people that have been friends of my parents or like my dad and my mom, they come up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, like Homer Jr., like you're Homer Jr., like there's no shot. Like it's been really cool to kind of experience that kind of shock on people's faces.
Your mom came. I remember leaving tickets. She had a big camp come out. How's
Yeah,
she doing?
she's doing great. And I mean, just as instrumental to my success as my dad has been, which has been awesome. She got the opportunity to come out and see me a couple times in like Elsinore. Yeah, and she brought some people. She brought family, some cousins out. She brought some family friends, and then actually one of my high school coaches got to come out and watch me out there as well, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, my mom, she's more dialed in than like anybody I've ever met in my life. I remember I was talking about like the ticket situation, and like she was more on top of it than I even was. So
She knows the game, bro. She's been there,
yeah,
done that. She's been in the
yeah.
bigs, bro. She's ready.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, she got more service time than I do, so I'm trying to catch up to her.
All right, another question, and this one meant for your dad. But did he get you in the game without so much pressure on you since he was a former pro and champ? Damn.
Yeah, it my dad was like very, very like supportive of like what I wanted to do in life. Like I could, if I wanted to be a Twitch streamer, like he would have been like, let's do it. Like you're about to be like the best Twitch streamer in the history of anything ever. So like I think having that freedom kind of allowed me to like choose what I want and like whatever I felt was right for like my future and my career. And so like I played a ton of different sports growing up. And whenever like I felt the time was right, like I was able to drop off the sports and kind of do what I wanted to do. He never like pressured me into like, hey, like you have to do this, you have to be a baseball player. Which obviously like there was a good chance I was gonna end up being a baseball player, but it completely was like to my own like want to.
So don't force your kids to play sports.
Yes, yeah. I think I talked about like it being intrinsic. Like I feel like they've got to want to do it.
Got you. Chris Owens. Shout out Chris Owens. Big shout out to Chris. Hope all is well with you and your family, Chris. Next season's gonna be great. What's your favorite uniform you got to put on? Wow.
I think I like the Avenger uni we had and Elsinore. I thought was dope. It fit right too, and I had a game where like I went deep in it, so like I might be a little biased. Yes, that one exactly. That one. I really like the Chonklers uniforms from Double A. The only problem is I was very ill prepared to like have the correct drip. So like I showed up and like we wore those jerseys one day and like I have on red batting gloves. So if you've never seen the jerseys, they're like white, pink, and they're like the City Connects. They're like white, pink, yellow, and light blue. And like I had red batting gloves, gray cleats, navy socks. Like I was a mess because I got there at the end of the year and so like they didn't have everything that like I needed. So like I was all over the place. But if I had the opportunity to like wear those jerseys correctly, I think they probably at the top of the list.
Yeah, I can see you rocking that for sure.
Yeah.
Any more questions? We got. Oh, nice. Tomorrow needs gray hair everywhere. Shout out.
Nice.
What is the hardest pitch for you to hit? Dang.
Gosh, that's a really good question.
Marcel's going hard. Marcel's
I really like to say like I can hit any pitch. I'd say the hardest pitch for me to hit is anything just like not in the strike zone. Like if I'm chasing, like I'm probably gonna have a pretty tough chance. I think if it's within the box, I think I got a chance to like do something with it. But like if I'm talking like a fastball up and out of the zone or slider down and out of the zone, like those are obviously gonna give you probably the most trouble. I think of anything in the zone, probably anything in is probably the toughest pitch for me to at least kind of do damage with. I'm like a long, lanky guy. Like I got long levers, so anything out over the middle of the plate is probably going to be a little bit easier for me to naturally just get to.
Walk-off fan. Favorite minor league stadium you played in thus far?
Amarillo was interesting because it was kind of fun to play in for one day. But like if I had to play a whole season there, I think I'd go crazy. Like if you don't know anything about Amarillo, like there's elevation and the field is like the left field is short and the right field like has a short wall. So and the wind blows out. So games are like 15 to 17 like all the time. Like that's really normal. So the one game I got to play at Amarillo was great. I loved it. But if I had to play a whole season there, like I think I'd probably go crazy. But it was also a really nice stadium. I think it was new, pretty new.
Yeah,
Which I think the Padres who actually played there in 2018 won a championship, and we're like, we need to get out. Like this is just too crazy.
Back to the Wolf.
Yes. The Wolf is kind of annoying. I would love you, TC.
Timmy, love you too. I hope you had a good time at pickleball. The rain got me. I had to stay home. It was too rainy, bro.
Yeah, it's rainy out in California right now, isn't it?
Bro, I mean, I talked to someone on the phone today. They say Arizona's getting some rain too.
It is actually. We were supposed to run 60s today, and we couldn't run because
darn it,
it was too wet outside. So I enjoy it though because it doesn't rain a ton in Arizona. So
yeah, the person I was talking to says it's actually quite needed in a sense.
It is, yeah, very very needed actually.
Shout out Timmy. Timmy is our Storm Lake Elsinore bat boy. He's been there for 4 or 5, maybe 6 years. One of the best in the league. Homie, you won't be there next year, God willing. We'll see you.
I know it's crazy because like you make some of these like awesome connections at some of these places, and you're like, I love you, but I hope I never have to see you again in my life. Like, so I skipped right over. I skipped right over Fort, and at the complex, I've gotten to meet like some of the staff from Fort Wayne, like the trainers and everything like that, and like they're great people. And I'm like, I genuinely love you, but I also genuinely hope I never see you. Like, I hope I just skip right over you because it's like that's just how it is. Like, I love everybody in Elsinore. I don't want to go back to Low A. So
I don't want to go back there.
so it's cool to get to see them like in the off season and at the complex in Arizona and stuff like that because I'm not trying to see them during the season.
I can totally relate, man. Being in Lake Elsinore for the last, bro, I've been there for 14 years, man. 14 years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And but it's different for me in my role. I get a chance to touch on you guys, meet you guys early on in your careers where it's special, and it's right there in the thick of things where you guys are on your way into your, many more endeavors. And I'm thankful to be a part of it. I'm thankful for you taking the time, homie, bro.
Yes.
You've been very, very, like I said, professional and a leader in your own way. And I'm proud of you and I'm excited for your future. And bro, I can't say this enough, but thank you for taking the time to come on our show and share a little insight and knowledge and experiences. So that way some future kids out there that are looking to ball out like you can take this information and apply it in their own life and go ball in their own way,
Yeah, no, of course. I appreciate you. Ooh, last question. Who's one of those who broke Ravens? I'm putting the house on it.
What?
Yeah, dude, the Ravens, nobody's even got a chance. It's the worst Chiefs team we've seen in a while, and they already smoked the Niners earlier in the season.
Okay, just people listening to this. I know Wyatt listening to this. He's butthurt because the Buffalo Bills got just taken out by the sorry Chiefs.
Yeah.
Bro, you putting the house on it?
I'm putting the house on the Ravens. Oh my gosh, I need that Lamar Jackson Super Bowl really, really bad too. I'm not even a fan of any of the teams left, so I'm a Chargers fan, unfortunately.
No, don't unfortunate that. That's cool.
Well, we stink, which we got a top 5 pick, which I'm like, it's been a while since I've like been on a tanking team. Like I've been rooting for a tank. So this is the first year I had to like root for a tank in a while. But I think anytime you have someone like Justin Herbert at quarterback, like you got a chance to flip things around pretty quick. So
he's a dude. I think we're gonna find our way with the coaching replacement they're gonna find here shortly, I believe.
Yeah, just a stupid coaching carousel. Like there's like 5 candidates where it's like you can't go wrong with them. So but like the Chargers are a team who like would manage to go wrong. But I think like it's enough of a slam dunk to where we should be fine.
I mean, needless to say, they're very entertaining and fun to watch, man. I watch every weekend. They're a fun team to watch, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, for sure.
Homie, bro, any questions before we head out? Because at this point, I think we did great. I think we touched on some important topics, and it was a pleasure to have you, bro.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I don't have anything specific. It's just been cool, and I appreciate you having me on. I've had like a couple people like reach out to me, like trying to have me on podcasts and stuff, and I'm like, nah, like not until I get on TTs. So maybe I'll hop on a couple other ones after this. I don't know. Maybe this like motivated me to hop on some more, but hopping on TT's Clubhouse was super important for me for sure.
Well, that's nice to hear, and I appreciate the love. It's been an honor again to be part of your journey, your path. Down the road, and we're all done, man. We're done. We out. We did it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good night. Be safe. And thank you for everybody listening, all the support out there. Our mission is to use sports to bring people together and serve in our own way. Thank you for making this world a better place, homie. And let's keep having fun.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, TT.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. We out of here. Thank you again. Have a great night. Be safe. And tune in next week if you can. We got Jaden Lopez, UCR in the house. Former Padres alumni going there. Great program. Very excited to talk to this guy. He is a serve first athlete. Talk to you next week.